Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking techs, electric smokers, feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you, fellas and folks. It is Campfire Talk time, and my buddy, Mr. Weishuhn, Mr. Whitetail, standing by right here. Larry, good morning. I have a feeling that you might be ready to talk maybe some deer hunting today.
We're going to talk a little bit of deer hunting. Before I do, I need to thank DSC, Conservation Education, Hunter Advocacy, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, Stealth Vision, which makes absolutely fantastic optics there in Crockett, Texas, Vineyard Max, which produces, one of the best and finest deer attractants I've ever been around. And of course, they also do feeders and a bunch of other products and sell some of my knives and even occasionally some of our books. And Taurus, my gosh, they got my Taurus handguns, my Raging Hunters ready to go for the hunting season. Been shooting a bunch of Hornady ammo. And of course, they're topped now with a red dot sight that Stealth Vision put out. So that got Mossberg ready to go. I am ready. But you know what, Luke, we want to remind everybody of to start with is if you live in Texas, if you have not bought a new hunting or fishing license, you need to do so right now, because here in Texas, and I suspect in some of the other states that they'll hear this as a podcast, that it's time to buy a new license. I know here in Texas, our current license has run out on the 31st of August. And just to be on the safe side, if you haven't already done so before you get out there doing any hunting and fishing, get out there and get your new license. And deer hunting, we're not that far away. I've been visiting with some folks over in South Carolina down in the low country, and their season started kind of in early August, and they've had a really good season, taking some really nice deer. Visiting with a bunch of people here as late when I was at the event with there in Conroe for the DSC Foundation, and then an event I did up at the Choctaw not very long ago for DSC as well too. I'll tell you what, there are some people showing some pretty darn impressive trail camera pictures. So I know a lot of folks are excited about this coming fall.
I know. I've been out here by the house, Larry. I actually did a newspaper article this past week on hunting hogs mostly, but then it's going to morph on into deer. But I've got a month and 6 weeks of hog hunting ahead. So yes. I wrote an article about setting up a pickup and cutting a hole in the brush on a fence line. And I never really thought about this in the past, but corn feeder, I've got a Vineyard Max on one side, a feeder baited. I baited it up with the Vineyard Max, a new spot for hogs right now, but it's deer going to be there too. No question about that. But I cut a hole in the brush and backed the truck up to the fence. And I've got a swivel chair. When I go out for hogs, which is going to happen tonight, I'm going to have some ice in the cooler. I've watched the trail cameras. Sunset right now is a little after. Actually, it's getting a little earlier, or a little later, I should say. A little after 8 o'clock, about 12 after 8. So I've got my feeder set up to go off at 8:30. Hopefully, I'll have a hog shot by 9 o'clock. They've been coming in right at dark. So, but I always, you mentioned getting ready. It is time to get ready for hog hunting. Is a fun thing to do and get some fresh meat in the freezer before deer season. It'll get you out in the woods and get you really fired up, Larry. That's what that's what's on my agenda starting tonight.
Well, that sounds like a really good agenda in so many different ways. As you were talking, you talking about a hole that you back the pickup in. Now, I'm on a lease up right on the Red River. Yeah, I mean, there's about 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles of Red River, which flooded, as everybody knows, in North Texas a lot this year. And as a result, there are weeds that are as tall as your head in a lot of those areas that were previously open. And you mentioned an open area, and one of the things I've suggested to the guys to do on the lease, initially they go, man, we can't see anything. We got to go in there and cut all this stuff down. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. I said, how about if you just cut shooting lanes from your stand that you are, where you're going to be sitting? And I said, then let's just cut some meandering kind of swaths, taking a bush hog and creating some trails through that, because deer like a human. I mean, if you're out there walking and here's a road that's open, or here's a path that's open, you're going to take that path that's open rather than try to fight your way through the head-high weeds and, all those kind of things. Well, as I mentioned, deer do the same thing. So we're kind of, I've got the guys doing that right now, doing it that way. If you've got that kind of situation, now's a good time to do it, because of several things. But you can create a path that those animals are going to follow, and you can lead those animals where you want them to go. The other thing that you can do in those situations that we used to do a lot in certain parts of South Texas, where we had a lot of whitebrush and those kind of things, I would create trails within a thicket. And then I'd go in there, buy a sack of triple 13 fertilizer now, and just kind of trickle a little fertilizer in those areas, which really sweetened up that vegetation in there. So it pulled those animals out of that thicker stuff into those areas. Then also, because of that, I could see them, and kind of created a situation to where I got them to go where I wanted to go, to maybe to a specific opening, or like to a deer stand or something like that. And with the Vineyard Max that we're using, you can do basically the same thing. Just kind of trickle a little Vineyard Max and build you a pile somewhere where you can sit in the tree, or you can even sit on the ground and look at it. And at thicker brush, those older mature deer, unless they have grown up in a totally open situation, they're still going to go to those little thicker spots to bed and all those kind of things, but then they're going to follow those paths of least resistance. So to me, it was kind of an ideal situation that occurred with the floods that we had up there.
Yeah, I can see that, all the vegetation growing up and along, especially up there in extreme North Texas, up along the Red River. A lot of times in the woods through the years, Larry, I've never done it on a major long run, but short runs I've took brush hooks or machetes or whatever,
right,
and cut little paths that I want to put a deer in a certain spot or put the game in a certain spot. And it makes sense. Why wouldn't they take the path of least resistance, to get to wherever they want to go? But that's a good point. That's things that some people don't think about. The hunting from the back of the truck. Now, I always tell people to check game laws. People listen to this as a podcast everywhere after it runs on all of our fine radio stations. But, you got to check on always. If you have any question on anything, hunting or fishing, check it out. You don't want the guy with the little booklet to be writing numbers on that for you. So just check it out. But in Texas, on private land, it's perfectly legal to park a truck and sit in the back of it and look for game. It is. It's nothing illegal about that. Now, I don't know about on roads. You wouldn't want to be hunting on roads anyway. But this is an idea that I've done before, mostly for hogs. I've never really done it for deer. But this place I set up, I mean, you've got cover, and your hog hunting mostly is going to be at night. But even during daylight, you're in the back of the truck, you're elevated up off the ground. In front of you is the brush. I just piled a bunch of brush along that fence where I cleared the shooting lane to the feeder. I really don't think if the wind didn't get you, that you're scent. I don't think even in daylight that it would make a whole lot of difference with hogs. Because you're going to be out there 60 or maybe farther, depending on what you're hunting with. Why not do it in comfort? Set up there and get a little breeze out of that. You're up off the ground. Just something, the way that I've learned to hunt hogs here in the past few years, Larry. You've got everything right there with you. You've got ice in the cooler for the meat. You got a tailgate of the truck to do a little butchering on. Seems to work out pretty good,
You know what it does, and as you mentioned, there's some states where you have to be X number of feet away from the vehicle, kind of thing. In Texas, we can actually sit in the cab if you wanted to, and shoot out of that. But that's simply, that is on private property. Again, as long as you have permission from the hunter, the landowner,
right,
kind of thing. But but yes, even with deer in the past, here in Texas, I pulled up to a spot and crawled on the back of the pickup, and just where I had a little bit of a height advantage, and rattled up many a deer. I've called up many a coyote and bobcat and fox, right off the back of the pickup. The thing about it is, most animals these days, because of the proximity of roads and homes and all that other kind of stuff, they're very used to those vehicles. So, even in the past, and hunting a little bit later in the year, hunting up in places in some of the Midwestern states where it was legal, I would, if they left a tractor sitting out in the field, a lot of times I'd sit by that tractor, and there's numerous times where I've sat in a grain bin that was pulled behind a tractor when they were harvesting corn or whatever, and is out there, left out in the field, and I'd either sit right by that thing, or occasionally, where it was legal to do so, I would crawl on the back of that thing and use that as my blind. So, you're right. And hogs too, they're used to those vehicles these days. So
they don't care.
Why not take advantage of that situation? And again, like you say, it's a little bit more comfortable. You don't have to worry about snakes. Don't have to worry about
mosquitoes. You're better off here,
or
right? You're off the ground, so mosquitoes are not going to be as bad. Another thing, Larry, that you and our friends listening that I'll mention is a plan that I've got. So, come deer season, this area there's some good deer in this area that I'll be hunting.
Oh yes.
What I'm thinking about doing, and this may sound a little bizarre to some people, but I'm thinking about continue hunting in the back of that truck on this particular spot, because there's water on one side and there's a point of woods. It's almost like it's very remote woods, but it's all within a mile of my house. And I'm thinking about I don't know the material I'm going to use just yet. I'm thinking 1/4-inch plywood. Now, I'm not talking about building a blind, so to speak, that's permanent, but take 4 sheets of 4x4 plywood that's up about 5 foot high, maybe. I don't want it 8 foot high. So about 5 foot high probably is the right height. And drill holes in the corners of that, in the 4 corners of each of the 4 sheets. And then paint it with some, green and black, something that'll break the outline of it maybe a bit.
Just kind of a muted color.
Yeah, just something to break the outline. And then use snap ties. And then lay these sheets down, stack them up, and take them in, keep them dry most of the time. But when you get out there and they're 4x4 and I'm measured, that'll fit perfectly in the bed of a pickup. Maybe just a tad less than 4. That's going to. I think 4 would work though. And then when you get to where you want to hunt, get out there and it'll take 10 minutes with snap ties, if that long. Snap tie those 4 sheets together and get in the back of that same pickup, and that'll knock the wind off of you.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I've never seen that done. I've definitely never done it, but I think I'm going to do that this year. Larry, I think we're completely out of time today for Campfire Talk, but gosh, it's always fun. We a lot of times, if people listen, they'll hear us morphing from one subject to the other, but it's always a fun time with you.
It is. We'll see everybody right here again next week around the campfire.
Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, I want to introduce you to Vineyard Max. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weishuhn, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, Vineyard Max has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is level because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time. Ultramatic feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed our little visit with Larry Weishuhn each week. Larry and I have been doing this together for 18 years, every week on Campfire Talk. But we cannot forget about some fishing. Now, our buddy, Mr. Chris Webb, is standing by. Chris he catches everything down at Cedar Creek Lake. For those of you that may be listening in Timbuktu, Cedar Creek Lake is east of Dallas, 45 minutes. And, Chris, we're going to talk about catching crappie in the late summertime and early fall. Chris, thank you for sticking with me and during this lengthy intro, buddy.
Yeah, Luke, I appreciate you having me, partner.
Yes, sir. And, folks, very recently, like yesterday, Chris was catching crappie. And it's summertime. We've had a little cool front come through. That's helped a bunch. But, Chris, let's think about late summer. These little cool fronts that may drop the temperature 10 or 12 degrees are great. We love them. But I don't think I think the crappie are probably still on a summer pattern. So brush piles and things like that, they're probably, I'm guessing right now at Cedar Creek and any other lake that people are fishing around where they live, they're on a summer pattern on brush, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So our best bite right now is definitely down on the south end in the deep basin, and we're targeting brush piles anywhere from 15 to 20 foot on average. Mm-hmm. And most of the fish are pretty picky right now, but we're using minnows, and our average pile, we probably get 3 to 5 fish. And then when you find that active pile, man, you can pull 10 to 20 fish off of it. And it's pretty good fishing still. A lot of people don't think it's real good this time of year in the heat, but it's still, we can put 40 or 50 together pretty easy.
Yeah, I guess the key, it's easy to be in an air-conditioned room or driving down the road and think, hey, I'm going to go fish till noon. But honestly, the key to success and fun right now, to me, is to get out there early and get on the water. And it's really, even on the hotter days, it's not bad. But by about 11 o'clock, it's time to be at a cleaning station or something.
That's right, for sure. Looking for that shade tree.
Yes, sir. Well, so people are listening everywhere. And of course, if you live up in North Texas, Cedar Creek Lake, that's where Chris is. We're going to give his contact information and all that. But regardless, these tips pretty much pretty much are standard, aren't they? I mean, for late summer fishing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So 15 to 20 foot deep. Now here's a question that you probably don't get asked a lot. There's a couple of ways people hook live minnows. How do you recommend hooking
I usually hook them under the mouth, out the nose, and usually when a ambush fish or swallow a minnow, it's head first, so those fins lay down. So I'll always put that hook in their face.
Yes.
You can go through the eyes. Some people come through the gill plate out the mouth, so they don't actually stick them. I just go under the chin and out top of the nose.
Yeah. Old school here, we're talking me, and the way for many, many years, most people hooked them right under that dorsal fin, right underneath
Absolutely.
there. But it makes sense. The fish is a predator is going to come in head first. And,
yes, sir.
you're going to be taking that bait in sideways like that. And, yeah, so now, just say, for instance, that you're in 20 foot of water, and you pull up on a submerged brush pile. That could be natural, but more than likely it's going to be some sunken, river cane or willows or something, some brush down there. Now, tell us, do you start out, you try to just fish the top of it? You know how deep it is with your sonar. Or how do you?
Most of our active fish will be on the top of the pile, and what we're trying to do is you can let it down as fast as you want. When you get it close to those fish, kind of slow it down. You don't want to spook them. They're kind of lethargic, kind of picky. The whole key to getting bit right now is once you set that bait up on that fish and you know that fish is looking at it on that live scope, you have to watch that rod tip. The bite is very, very soft and subtle. A lot of times you're not going to feel anything at all. That rod tip is just barely either going to get a little peck, or when you slow raise, it's just going to kind of stick like you've hung the brush, and that rod tip's just going to kind of stay and want to stick a little. It is very soft. It is very fast, but man, they're biting great. It's once you get dialed into what you're looking for, it's game on.
And how to talk about the rods that you like to use, and I don't care if you name names, that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I've fallen in love with the Todd Huckabee Power Crappie rods. We use them at 8 and 9 foot mainly, and the awesome thing about them, they've got great backbone to lift a big fish, and then they've got a white painted part of the rod tip that makes it real easy to see the bite. That it makes a big difference for me and my customers when those fish are real lightly pecking at that bait.
You bet. And that is I've even, this time of year, I was catfishing down at, actually at Lake Fork a couple of weeks ago. And we caught Fork's got some nice channel cat, some good sized ones, And we were catching some 3-4 pounds, but some of those fish were just sucking that bait in, and you might even, honestly, I'm kind of a line watcher myself too. You
better be.
You better be. But if you see that line, you've got tension on it because you've got a weight on there and you've got a bait. But if you see that line just move a little bit, I mean, your brain's telling you, that's probably, but you better rear back like you're setting the hook on a shark,
Absolutely.
If you want to catch him, right? Same with crappie, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not watching that line and that rod tip right now, you're missing bites. If it's a little fish, a lot of times you'll still get the peck, he'll hit it. But most of your good big fish bites are all visual, and it is the most subtle, softest little thing. He's either going to push up just a little bit of slack in that line and push up on that bait, or when you go to slow lift, he's already got it in his mouth, and it's just a little bit of heavy, and that's the only indication that you've been bit. Not much.
Yeah, you're using, I'm not real accustomed to fishing with rods that long. I'm not. It's not. I have, but it's kind of like you remember back a few years ago when it was. I forget the technique when you put so many rods out on the front of the boat.
Spider rigging.
Spider rigging. I'd forgotten the name of it. Not too many people still do it, but it's that type of rod, isn't it? Longer rods that you're using, or are they?
Yeah, absolutely. That way we can kind of get that bait away from that trolling motor a little bit.
Yeah,
and, it definitely, a lot of folks aren't used to using a lot of the longer rods, but I've fallen in love with those Huckabee 9-footers. That's usually what we use.
Huckabee 9-footers. I've seen them. I look forward to sometime in the next, few weeks or within a month or two. I do hope to be able to get with you down there, and that'll be kind of a learning experience to me. I like the tip is going to be a soft tip, I'm sure, that you can
Yes, sir.
you can detect that. Yeah, the rod. If you were fishing right now with just a conventional medium action rod, you probably would miss a lot of those bites.
Man, I tell you, my buddy who came down to fish with me these last couple of days, he brought some of his rods, and he had some heavier line on it, and they were some heavier rods, and I definitely noticed that we were not near as sensitive, and we were definitely missing a few. We didn't miss a ton, but you definitely pick up a few more bites with that sensitive tip.
Subtle tip. Well, okay, so almost September now, within a day or two. So September is. I don't think you're going to be telling me there's going to be a lot of change until maybe the first cool fronts, end of this month, maybe. And it doesn't happen overnight. The next shift in the pattern.
Absolutely. It's definitely a transition, but it definitely that first cool front will kind of trigger those fish that it's coming, that fall's on its way, and then usually 3 or 4 cool fronts we'll start to see that upper range of that water column get cooled off and start to fall and roll over.
Mm-hmm.
Once that water starts to cool and roll, we really see a big change probably about mid to late September. It's all about that water temperature, obviously. We'll go through a week or two where it's kind of a transition. Those fish will get off that summer pattern and start moving to those fall places, the fall haunts. And then, once everything gets good and that water gets down to about 75, it is game on. I call it the fall brawl because it is some of the best fishing of the year.
It is. I look forward to that too, boy. Well, I tell you, folks, we are visiting with Chris Guides down at Cedar Creek Lake. So people that would like to follow you on Facebook or call you or whatever, I would like you to make yourself available to them. Let them know how they could, learn more about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. My phone number is 903-275-3253. And then I've obviously on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way to reach me. Just call me or text me or shoot me a message on there.
Yep, and Facebook was just your tell
just
the folks
Chris
out.
Webb or Chris Webb's Guide Service. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chris Webb Guide Service. Well, Chris, thanks a lot, and I want to get you back, from time to time, and I know another time you may be hot and heavy on the hybrids down there or whatever, the other type of fish, but kind of these tips do help people, especially. Help me, the rods. I know that would up the numbers of fish that I could detect the bite on. So thanks a lot, and I want to get you back again soon. How about that?
Awesome. Look forward to it, Luke. I appreciate you.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultramatic feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultramatic feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder, and then the eliminator. Check these out. They are worked on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultramatic feeders, you could go online to ultramaticfeeders.com. Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too.
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Well, friends, our next guest is Mr. Shane Jahn. We're going to talk about reading fun stuff like gun stuff, hunting stuff online. Now, I still write for a bunch of print publications. I'm hunting editor for one. I love print, but so many of us now are reading online and getting a lot of good information. So, Mr. Shane Jahn has a website that we want to introduce you to and tell you about it. It's called Gun Tales. It's guntales.net. Shane, thank you, buddy, for being with us.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Let's educate everybody on Gun Tales. Now, I think it's important to bring this point out. I mean, Shane, you were a Border Patrol agent for a couple of decades about, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 22 years.
22 years, and your partner there, Mr. Wilson, Sheriff Jim Wilson, who I've had a chance to go hunting with one time. Sheriff Jim Wilson, and you operate this website that's called guntales.net. So tell us a little bit about Gun Tales, what people could, when they go there, what they can expect.
Sure. Our idea behind Gun Tales, and I have to give credit to Jim for coming up with this. When I decided to retire from the Border Patrol, Jim and I were talking, and he said, "Hey, what do you think about teaming up and let's do our own online magazine and write about the stuff we like, tell stories, because it to some degree some of that's been lost over time, and that's just a change of the times." Mm-hmm. But just regular old storytelling, 'cause a lot of things are driven by advertisement driven, and that's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. And there's only so much space in a print magazine, and editors have to they have to decide what they want, where they want it, and space is limited. Well, with the online deal, and it being ours, we write about what we want. So, and Jim and I have kind of equal interest in a lot of things, but we like to write about old guns, hunting stories, old lawmen. Larry Weishuhn's going to have a piece in there for us in a few days, and he's writing about him and John Wooter. So, bring in the old gun writers into it. So and a lot of storytelling. Jim's really good at telling stories. He's a historian, likes to, and I like to do the same, but he's really good at telling tales of those old lawmen. He knew a lot of the old guys. He knew when he was a young officer. He knew some of the old Rangers. He's just got tons of good stories, and a lot of those things will be told on the magazine. And I agree with you 100%. I love my print magazines and books, and Jim does too. It's just doing things online is so much easier now. I would love to say that at some point we'd be able to have a print publication, and maybe we will. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun with it. We started it in December, so we haven't even made it a year yet, but have grown large enough to where we've had a couple of guest writers. The first one was posted yesterday with Daryl Bolke, who's a retired cop, firearms instructor, has a lot of knowledge. He was a cop out in California, but he's also he likes the historical side, so he wrote an article on the fit specials that were a popular thing back in the day, where the trigger guards were removed on the double action revolvers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little historical stuff, old gun stuff, a little bit of new gun stuff, hunting stories. It's just we kind of get it all in there.
It's fun, and so many people everybody has that cell phone with them, their smartphone. Yeah. So when you set you have to. You couldn't function without it nowadays, Shane. But when you're sitting in the deer stand, wherever, I mean, if you got a little, okay, all you have to remember is guntales.net, and bingo, I've been there many times since I remember when you first. I don't know how I learned that you got started. Look at that. There's somebody calling in their next guest. That's part of what we do. Shane, if you listen to much of Catfish Radio, that's part of what we do. You never know. This is the guy that's going to be on after you.
Oh.
It'll stop, folks. Hang with us just a minute. It'll stop beeping in a minute. He'll give up, and he'll follow instructions. But anyway, yeah, I've been on to Gun Tales many times, Shane, and
Well, I appreciate that.
I have. I enjoy it, man, and I learned some. I'm not exactly a firearms expert at all, but I was in the Marine Corps a million years ago, and I've shot rifles and stuff all my life. My sons kid me a lot. They say, "Dad, you get one rifle that you like, and you won't hardly pick up another one." Well, that CVA is muzzle loaders, and they also make a fine line of centerfire rifles. Mm-hmm. CVA does. They're one of my sponsors. So, yeah, and I've kind of fallen in love with their rifles. I mean, I hunt hogs a great deal. I live in Hog Central, Shane, here southeast of Dallas, about 30 miles.
Okay.
And so I've got hog hunting about a quarter of a mile. I have them in my yard about half the time.
I saw you posted that.
Did you see that? The hog
was kicking sand in your face. You're gonna have to take care of it.
I know. I need to get you up one of those single action pistols to get you up in a tree around here to clean them out. Back to gun tails though. Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, you may not have a magazine handy, but you're gonna have that cell phone pretty close by, and got a little spare time. People can go there, and there's quite a few articles, as I remember. I was on there a week or two back. Quite a few articles posted, right? I mean,
yeah, we're getting to have a pretty good amount on there. We try to have something. Each of us try to have something up once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that flow, and now if we can, occasionally have a guest writer, that'll be even more. Sometimes depending on, because our web guy has to be able to put the stuff up, and and he's still a working man. He's not retired like we're fortunate to be. So
yeah,
sometimes we'll go over that week time frame a little bit, but sometimes we get an article, one up each day, or yesterday we posted 2 on the same day. So we try to have something new up a couple times during the week.
Yeah, and as far as the content, Shane, a lot of that you and Jim write, but people could. Is it a situation where people that were knowledgeable enough to write about guns could send you stuff, that type of deal?
Yes, and we're working toward doing that, and just did that with the writers, and it may be something we may expand that even more over time. We've got a lot of room to grow. We're real pleased with where we are at this point, but there's a lot of things we want to do. We were talking about that yesterday. We want to do a little bit of videos, maybe some other things. YouTube or something down the line, add some things to Gun Tales and just help it grow, get it out there and reach more people. You can reach so many with a Facebook post, and then friends will share that, so you reach a few more people. But the guys who know a lot more than I do about it are telling us what we should do to get bigger and to reach more people, more like-minded readers who want to read this stuff. They just don't know about it yet. And you having me on here is that's a great help, and I really appreciate it. Folks will hear about it that otherwise wouldn't have known about it.
True. Yeah.
So who knows? In a year, who knows where we'll be with this thing?
I'll tell you this:
it'll be fun.
It will be fun, and the trip the journey will be fun. 19 years ago or 20 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd be a outdoor show host, I would have ran the other direction. Yeah. No, radio, me. You talk about these guys with the radio voice. Well, I'm just a regular old hook and bullet writer is what I was back then, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this. And then a weekly TV show that Jeff Rice, You've seen him on the Sportsman's
yes,
Life.
sir.
Jeff is a great.
I like that show.
Yeah, he's a great friend of mine. I introduced him to Larry 5-6 years ago, and Larry said, "Why don't we just start doing a weekly outdoor show? You know, the three of us, we might be catching fish or whatever. You know, Larry shooting a whatever, you know, kudu.
Oh, I like watching.
It's varied. Or me cooking a
Yeah.
gusata out on a campfire or whatever. But so I never dreamed I would do that. But so what I'm getting at is that no telling where you and Mr. Wilson are going to go with it. I mean, it's you're off to a good running start right now. People they're learning about gun tails, and I predict. Just stay open because there's no telling where it may go.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I want you to invite people again with the website to come there and check you out. So give the website, and that way people know exactly where to go to read all that good gun talk.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's guntails.net. $10 a month subscription or $90 a year, a little cheaper if you sign up for the year. Occasionally we'll have a free article pop up that folks can go view, and we move that around every once in a while. But guntails.net, there's a comment section below every article, and we really want to hear from people. We want to hear, did you like it? Is there something else you want to hear about, or maybe an idea we didn't think about? We love checking those comments and seeing what the readers put in there, and we just. It's a lot of fun. I think folks will like it. The people who are reading it now tell us that they really like it. Some of them in the comments, some of them email us. We talk to folks at different places, different shows, different events, and they tell us how much they really enjoy it, and we're just glad to be able to do that.
Well, keep up the good work, buddy. And Shane, thank you a lot for being our guest today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you very much.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas, and Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed our show thus far. We've had some varied topics here, from fishing, catching sand bass and hybrids, to talking hunting. Hunting season is just around the corner. Bow season is going to be here within a little over a month. And in many ranches in Texas, you can hunt with everything on the Level 4, I think it is, the managed land leases with permits. So hunting is coming up. Jeff Rice, my buddy, is with us again this week. Jeff and I do a lot of stuff together in the outdoors. Jeff puts together our weekly TV show called A Sportsman's Life. You've heard him on with us many times. But he also has a ranch up in East Texas, the Buck and Bass Ranch, which he and I have a little camper up there, and he has a big headquarters, and we go hunting together a lot. And we hunt out of a lot of different types of blinds. So that's going to be our topic. Jeff has invented a blind from welded wire that is awesome. And just about anybody could build one. Let's talk about some ways to maybe make your own hunting blind. Jeff, thank you for being with us, buddy.
Yeah, I'm always glad to join you, my friend. And yeah, it's fun. It's versatile. Different ways to make blinds to hunt out of. Sometimes you don't have to spend a whole lot of money, but you can make something extremely effective. And as you know, I've got several of them set up on my place, and we've shot a lot of hogs over the years out of them. Actually, I've actually shot deer out of them as well too. So,
yep, we have. Well, how about describing it? Welded wire. I think that's a good. And the wire squares on that one, I don't remember. About how wide are they, roughly speaking?
Oh, probably 1 by 3 inch or something like that.
Yep. They're not. Yeah. There are light enough where you can bend them fairly easily into a circle, can't you?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I do is I just buy the rolls of welded wire, and I like to get the 6 foot and or 8 foot.
Yeah.
And what that does is allow you the ability to stand up. If you want to stand up and stretch and whatnot, walk around or move around a little bit, you're not going to get detected while you're sitting in that blind. But very inexpensive, very easy to put up, very effective. But generally speaking, Luke, what I do is just buy the roll of wire, and I'll form it into kind of a circle, but I don't actually put the ends together. I kind of separate them apart and kind of bring one end around a little bit. So when you walk in, it's got an open door, but you can't really see inside. You kind of have to circle around it to get in. And once you get in, you got that thing set up. I'll take a wire clippers and I'll just cut windows out where I want them, just in the wire, and then I'll take just either plastic. I've done plastic, and that'll help break the wind, or just some burlap camo, and just fix it to the mesh itself or the wire itself, and makes a great blind. And you can move around in there and get be very undetected when animals are very, very close. I've had deer, I've had hogs almost within arm's reach, and they don't know I'm in there. But they're easy to make. They're inexpensive. They're efficient. They work well. It's a way you can I guess cut a little cost if you're looking at putting a blind someplace and you don't want to have to put in a big box blind. Now, the downside of it is it does not have a roof. Now, could you put a roof on? You probably could cut a piece of wood and strap it on and do that. I don't in these particular blinds, but they are very, very effective and very, very inexpensive.
So you bet they are. And I've hunted deer out of the one there. You've got one at the Vernon blind, we call it. And I like the fact that the diameter there of that circle is probably 6 foot. I mean, something like that. You can stand up and they can't see you. You're inside. And walk around and move around in there and put all your pack and get all your gear. But folks, it's if you can picture not a true circle, a true circle is a true circle. It's that wire would be each end would be connected. This is a circle like Jeff was talking about that extends around maybe 3 or 4 feet where the animals can't see, but which creates a door, if that makes sense to you. You can maybe a 2 foot entranceway. So you walk in that entranceway and then go right on around the circle, but you're inside. When you get in there 3 or 4 feet, you're totally concealed from outside view. They can't see you in there. And one thing, Jeff, is you can get some. I remember some of yours have the heavy plastic, and I know for a fact that's lasted for several years on some of those blinds. Of course, it's not permanent, but you can get that really heavy duty plastic, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I've got 6 or 7, something like that, currently set up out there on the property, and they've all been there more than 5 years, every one of them, I think, and they still are as effective as they were day one. And yeah, the nice thing about it is the extra room. I did make them a little larger because, of course, you and I, we film our adventures and that type of thing. So I wanted them big enough to where literally someone could sit over your shoulder and film, and done that many, many times. But yeah, it's it's just a great creative way to make a quick blind, and you can really put them just about anywhere. And you don't even need like fence posts if you have trees around, because I actually use the trees to kind of help hold the blind in place. And of course, you have the canopy over the top of you. It helps kind of cover things up, and I don't cut away a lot of growth around it, because you want it to kind of just fit in. And literally with the wire and stuff, you can literally stick sticks in there and hang stuff on there, maybe an old pine limb or something. You can kind of hang from it or something.
That's
just
right.
to kind of break it up,
Yep. Now, as far as making it stable, I know that T-posts, you're not going to find a tree everywhere you need one, but I've noticed a lot of those you have used several trees to make the circle, but where you don't have a tree, say the entrance door, the end of the wire, end of the circle, T-post there, put your T-post in there and tie that in, and they're there. I mean, I've never known one to. I guess a tornado would remove it, but they're real durable. They stay in place, don't they?
Oh, they have. Like I said, they've been there more than 5 years, and I haven't replaced anything on them. You go in and hunt them, and they're perfect. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I thought, well, geez, could I do this? How would this work? And I built one, and it was so good. And I'm like, well, let's build a few more. Next thing you know, you get a bunch of them out there. And
yeah,
over the years that they continue to work.
That's right.
It's just,
that's true.
Yeah, they're effective.
Another variation of this, and I know you've seen them, Jeff, is a hay ring bale. I mean, that you hay ring actually. It's for for putting out hay. I know I've hunted ranches where they will take a hay ring and then usually have to cut an entrance. You got to get in it. And those things are up pretty high too. So that's another way to do it. I like your method much better. So I think that would make a good segment, Jeff, for A Sportsman's Life. And folks, maybe I can talk Jeff into film. I don't think I'll have to push him too hard. But I bet he would film this. So be watching A Sportsman's Life on Carbon TV or YouTube. I bet we can get that on there, and that's an awesome design. It really is. So there's that. That's the most comfortable blind. Put you a comfortable chair in there. Here's another big plus. Cut your window vertical, where you can stand up in the back of that thing, wear dark clothes, wear a black shirt if you want to, if you use the black plastic. Stand up I've stood up in the back of it and drawn my bow, and it's not, you're not cramped. You can actually stand up and just don't move a lot. Of course, with your hog hunting, you can get by with a little more than deer, but another thing, so we'll shift over. We've got time to hit on a topic that actually my newspaper column this past week was about this. Hunting from the back of your truck, the bed of your truck. You know all about it because you've seen what I do, Jeff, but I found a spot in a fence row. Most fence rows in Texas or everywhere, really. Hackberry trees, cedars, birds, droppings, especially for hackberries. They'll droppings and have the seeds of hackberries in there. So there's usually a lot of hackberries in a fence row. But find a little opening, not just anywhere, but I found a spot with a water, spring-fed water supply on one side, and on the other side a point of woods, heavy woods that go back in there a long, long way. Well, I've known for a long time that hogs and deer travel that way. That's their closest water supply. So I cut a hole in there, Jeff, in that fence with a brush hook, and I used limb loppers, cut a little hole and cleared a path to a feeder that I set back in there. Well, I think anybody that hunts hogs knows that most of them move late in the evening. I don't think, if I didn't even try to conceal my pickup, back it up right against the fence, get in a swivel chair, and watch that feeder. I don't think it surprises anybody that you can kill hogs that way. Deer, you're going to have to do things a little bit different because you're gonna have to be concealed, or they're gonna pick up that movement almost instantly, I think. So that's one way to do it. And I'm really working on a little design. Folks, I've got Jeff thinking about this too. It sounds a little silly maybe, but it wouldn't when you were actually out there in the cold weather. I want to continue hunting from the back of that truck because it's mobile and it's elevated. But I want to build a little 4x4 something, very portable, very lightweight, just to throw in the back of that truck that'll break the wind and conceal me from the animal. So there's a lot of things people can do, Jeff, and to me it's fun to think up this stuff and then to try it in practice, But there's a couple of designs might make our friends give them something to think about, and who knows? I bet they can come up. A lot of people can come up with some ideas that good, or maybe better,
Oh, for sure. It's funny that you talk about that. It's animals, especially hogs. I mean, deer too, but they see tractors, they see or vehicles like out on my property.
Yep.
And they kind of disregard a vehicle. Now, movement by a human being is a whole other thing, but if you can conceal yourself in the back of that truck, you can get pretty darn close to a hog.
Why would
like you said? Yeah.
Why wouldn't it work? I've shot hogs with big bore air guns 30 yards, sitting in the back of a truck. And if you're hunting at night, honestly, it's dark. And most hog hunting, a lot of our hog hunting is with thermal scope. So it's ideal for that. Jeff, we are out of time. Thank you so much for being with us. I'll remind everybody too, the TV show, if you enjoy our radio show, you're going to like A Sportsman's Life with Jeff and Larry Weishuhn and myself. Just search it out on YouTube or go to Carbon TV and look for A Sportsman's Life. And Jeff, I'll get with you soon and we'll have some fun either fishing or maybe get after the hogs again maybe next week. How about that?
I'm in.
Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game, lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.